Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Minions of the Zoo. I am your host, Johnny Hellcat, and I am muted. Alright. Hellcat. Fucking hell. What a way to start. So how's you guys doing today? So we have Terry and the Cynic in the chat. How's it going? The last couple days have been pretty hectic. I'd like to say that as a Montanan, I am a good driver, but for all intents and purposes, there are many Montanans who are not. You can say hi.
Hi.
Yeah, Eddie, how's it going? Let's see. Yeah, I don't really have much of anything in the way of planning. Me planning? You don't say. Wife just came in, opened up the window. I do, once Kyle is done with his stream, he should be coming over and joining us soon. So I do have a guest. He's just not here yet. He's said he'd be going till about 9 his time. And I'm not sure about his time zone, so there is that. Let's see here. Going back to my main topic, I was driving to work yesterday, and I don't know what the hell. Yeah, that was. Well, I mean, we have different definitions of funny, but yeah, that would be. I have a majority of my travel is by 3-lane. I won't say majority, I'd say half. Half my travel is by 3-lane highway. And, well, it's a 2-lane that turns into a 3-lane and then back to a 2-lane. Because there's two main parts of my town that traffic usually gets backed up when you get on the off-ramp, and so they made it a 3-lane off-ramp, and I am, I'd say, a few hundred feet away from the off-ramp. I'm following behind a couple of slow-moving vehicles who are following a tractor trailer who is towing other large vehicles, and not like the car, like the ones where you see the trucks towing the trucks, or the ones that have, like, from the car dealers that have the cars stacked in there. It was like farm vehicles that it was towing behind it, and I start driving. I get behind everyone because by the time I'm planning on passing one guy, but I get to the point where if I go to pass this guy, I'm not going to make my turn. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm still on time. I'm not gonna be late for work or anything, but I'll still be on time. I'll just bide my time, and whatever happens, happens. And so I see behind me that there is someone coming up coming up behind me pretty fast, and I have at least 2 car lengths ahead of me, in case they decide that they're going to either turn off into the correct lane that they're supposed to be in, or they're going to turn in the off ramp like I'm going to. And I get to I turn around, I see this guy, and I'm like, oh, he's seems to be in a hurry. And I'm in the center lane. The entire right lane is open. The entire left lane is open. There's just me, about a car and a half car space ahead of me, and then the 3 vehicles. And he turns to the left lane. I'm like, oh, he's just going to pass us, and that's going to be that. He passes me, immediately turns right in front of me, and then goes into the right lane. And I'm like, that is the dumbest thing I have ever seen. It boggles my mind that, like, and I'm thinking, oh, this guy's, tourist. The guy's from town. Like, I'm like, you are the dumbest asshole. And that, that was just on my way to work. And then there was, and funny enough, there was a homeless guy at the intersection. Addy, you might get a kick out of this one. He looked like the YouTuber who shall not be named, but extremely homeless. And oh yeah, I'm like, I am not hanging out with this guy. So I ran a red light to avoid it. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't have much in the way of stories. And I forgot that Sanguine was out. The mouse. So I was going to pick a couple stories and see. There is one that I actually sent myself. Let me see if I can find. Because someone, oh my goodness. There was a landmark that was carved into and of course I can only think of the one name, the Hellgate something, and I really can't think of what it was. I think it was in Yellowstone. I did not, actually. I was gonna watch Scribe's stream, but I with work today, I didn't really have that much time. But no, I haven't seen any. Other than that, I really haven't seen much. Let's see here. I lost interest in the MCU after I was starting to wane after like Endgame and Infinity War. I was good. Hey, Costin. Let's see here. Let's see if there's anything happening in the state. Of course, there's got to be something. Go to ABC News. In Montana. Henry Raw Festival. Bunch of Irish folk getting together. They have a bunch of girls doing Irish dances down there. Oh, here we go. 2 men shot in Helena at the Capitol. Let me see if I can bring this up here. Two men shot in Helena, suspect at large. We're not watching the video. You could just write out August 16th. Did you just copy and paste the police report? Good lord. Let's see here. On 8/18/2022 at 01... Good lord. At 1 o'clock in the morning, officers responded to the 800 block of Abbey for a report of an assault with a weapon. When officers arrived, they discovered 2 adult males had been shot. The 2 individuals were transported to a hospital by ambulance. Both individuals did not sustain life-threatening injuries. The person that shot the 2 adult males ran from the scene just after the shooting. Police have not been able to identify the suspect at the same time. This is an ongoing investigation. We are actively seeking information for the suspect. Currently, we believe the suspect is male, and he was wearing a face covering during the shooting, possibly to conceal their identity. The suspect was also wearing a black hoodie, and we believe he is approximately 5'6" to 5'8". With the information we have gathered in this investigation, we do not believe there's a threat to the community. All right then. And that's in the capital. Like, well, there's rarely ever shootings I hear about there. My sister lives around that area. Oh man, there we go. Usually we have, you know, animals attacking humans. In Salmon Prairie, Montana, a motorcyclist was killed after hitting a bear on MT 83, Montana Highway 83. North of Salmon Prairie on August 7th. A bear entered the highway and the man was unable to avoid it. Montana Highway Patrol reported. The two collided, and the driver, a 66-year-old man from Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, was thrown from the motorcycle. MHP says motorcycle was not wearing a helmet and sustained fatal injuries at the scene. That's why you wear a fucking helmet. I mean, it's not that hard. Oh, these stories are short. Oh, there we go. Employee finds a part of a foot floating in the abyss pool at the Yellowstone National Park. This happened 18th. Updated 4 hours ago. Part of a foot in a shoe. Well, we think we know where the other guy is. Let's see. A Yellowstone National Park employee discovered part of a foot inside of a shoe floating at the abyss pool located in the West Geyser Basin Tuesday, park officials said. The following statement sent to Montana Right Now from Yellowstone National Park's Public Affairs Officer Morgan Worthen. You're just a disembodied foot. There's always one of you floating around somewhere. On Tuesday, August 16th, an employee found... okay, we see that part. Investigation is underway. Since the discovery, rangers have reopened to visitors the temporarily closed West Thumb Geyser Basin and parking lot. The abyss pool has a depth of more than 50 feet and is one of the deepest hot springs in its park. The temperature is approximately 140 degrees, 60 degrees Celsius. The park does not have any other details to share about this incident currently. We will provide additional information in the next few days. Someone fucked around the hot springs, and they're paying for it. They had found out. Bunch of fires. Montana should see the Aurora Borealis this week. Yeah, we've been told that before. Alrighty. Alright, I'll go with K&H Morning Briefing. I have no idea who these guys are, but oh, can't read this one because the Capitals thing is a pile of shit. The Capital newspaper. It's one of those where they want you to sign in to read them. It's like, yeah, no, I don't think so. Alright, we'll go somewhere else then. But it says, Montana sees increase in fentanyl drug seizures, state officials say. Montana is on track to triple fentanyl and drug seizures, and it ends there. Alright, let's see what we got. What you got for us, Missoula Current? Oh, here we are. Oh, don't give me this bullshit. Alright, the Bureau of Land Management. American Prairie Bison grazing announcement wins praise and concern. The Bureau of Land Management, the real pain in the ass BLM, has approved a controversial bison sanctuary to grow an additional 63,000 acres of BLM land, which was probably taken away from people who would actually purchase it outright. The decision has caused some division between the desire to protect an iconic part of the American West and worries about the local economy. The American Prairie nonprofit aims to create wildlife refuge stretching across 3.2 acres throughout the plains and prairies of Montana. This lot of land is existing public land, and we're seeking to do, and what we're seeking to do is buy private land and then connect that with the existing land to make one contiguous space or corridor for wildlife. Hey, Terry.
Hello, how's it going?
Oh, not too bad.
Yes, food was delayed. That's why I couldn't be here at the start. But I've eaten, and all is right with the world.
Terry has been sated.
Yes, I have.
So yeah, I'm reading about Buffalo. Now, it was a project that a bunch of rich people got together and they're like, yeah, we're going to take all these diseased animals and we're going to pile them all together.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, nothing like brucellosis to get you to get the blood flowing, which is painful, might I add. Let's see here. I don't think there's anything really important. Just it's impeding on ranching land that they use for. They take their animals across when they are taking them from one point A to point B. They let the animals graze on the land, and essentially the ranchers pay taxes for that use, from my understanding.
Okay.
And then, yeah, so they're taking that and they're bringing in bison, which is fine, so long as the bison are actually healthy.
And you keep them occupied on Tuesdays?
Yes. Because to them it's just another day.
Yeah. I love that a movie that terrible has like such a memorable line. Like it's pretty much the only part of the movie that anyone remembers. Like, unless you've seen it recently, the only thing that ever gets quoted from the Street Fighter movie is, "But for me, it was Tuesday."
Yeah.
It's I actually prefer there was a cartoon where Bison says, yes, I killed your father. What is it with you women anyway? I killed my father too, and you don't hear me whining about it. The first time I heard that, I just couldn't stop laughing. That is just like, I don't know. It's just so perfectly Bison. It's
was that the series cartoon?
Yeah.
I remember watching it a couple times, and I'm like, "Oh, this will be fun to watch." And then it's just like, "Oh, yeah, I'm not going to show you that again."
Yeah, I've never seen it. I've only seen that clip because, it got quoted on social media. I looked it up, and it's like, okay, that was awesome, but I don't know what the rest of the show is like.
Yeah, it's about as garbage as you would think.
Fair enough.
Like, and that's, looking through my child glasses. Like, I watched it when I was in, I was a kid. So, of course,
Yeah.
I'm going to think it's awesome. And then I'm kind of going to come back to it and it's going to be like, the fuck was I thinking?
Yeah, no, I had that with do you remember the show Monkey, the like Japanese one?
No.
So it was basically what is it, A Journey to the West or whatever the Chinese story is called?
Oh, yeah.
But it was made with like Japanese actors and it was like really badly dubbed, like comical levels of bad dubbing. And no, like as a kid, I just adored this show. For whatever reason, something about it just appealed to me. I was like in my mid-20s when I saw it in the video rental place, and I thought, oh, I've got to rent this and see what it's like. I was a retarded kid. That show was terrible.
I actually apologized to my dad for having him sit through the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I went back to that as an adult as well. To be honest, I actually thought it was the good kind of bad. If that makes like it was entertaining because it was so bad. It wasn't the unwatchable bad. It was the oh my god, this is so cheesy and lame kind of bad.
Like, I don't know if and my dad was a rough and ready, gruff Western kind of guy. He wasn't like
Okay.
He wasn't into the modern stuff. When he was when I was a kid, like stuff like the Ninja Turtles and everything like that. He's like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not watching that shit. And there was one time he came home, and as soon as he walked in the door, he saw me watching the show, and he goes, "Turn that shit off." And I'm like, okay. I got my 10 minutes in. I'm good.
Mm-hmm. My mum hated the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, but she really hated Monkey. Like to her, there was zero appeal, and she was like mystified that I wanted to watch it. And like going back as an adult, I understand why. There's like it's badly translated, it's badly dubbed. There's just I don't know what there is to other than it's kind of cool seeing him fly around on a cloud, I guess.
Yeah. And here's our guest. This is Kyle.
Hello.
How
goes it? Pretty good.
Good.
Just got done with Final Fantasy V, and my
okay.
throat is sore.
Mm-hmm. Final Fantasy V was interesting in the gameplay, but I thought the story was a bit bland. Like I did like the job system that they had, but
I think it did the best with the job system.
Man, the job system's confusing to me. I'm one of those guys. It's like, give me a stick and I'll just beat them over the head with it.
I'm assuming you haven't played 10.2 then, because 10-2 also used the job system, Johnny, and that was like an even more refined version of it. Okay. Though you do have to put up with the J-pop aesthetic that the whole game is wrapped in.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I look forward to that.
And are you well with the Final Fantasy ones? You're playing those through Steam, right? The digitized.
Yeah, the repixel or whatever it was called.
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah, that was. Those are interesting because I haven't. I was thinking about getting them, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, I
still no reason to. Just
my classic versions. I don't think I need the pixelations.
Yeah. No, just you can emulate the entire SNES and NES era of Final Fantasy for free. You don't have to give Steam money for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too big on emulation, so I
Fair
just
enough.
like, fuck it, I'll buy it. Never
Yeah,
played
I mean,
through these games.
It's different if you like actively want them. Like if you're like, oh man, I really want to play this game. If you're like, I mean, I'll try it, then I wouldn't spend the money.
Yeah, I was the only one I ever played was the first game. Beat it,
Okay.
and it's like, And then came back years later. It's like, you know what? I'll play through these on my channel.
So are you doing the entire series? Is that the plan?
Yes, I started with the first and currently on the 5th. I'm looking forward to the 6th because I hear that one's really good.
The first half is. I've made my feelings towards the second half clear.
So,
Um,
and what's really funny is I have the emulator version of 6, and so I'm like, you know what? I'll stream it. I'll play it. I'll play the second half for you.
yeah.
So at least you don't have to begrudging yourself with the work. And I get to the end, and just as the end story starts, the game crashes. And I'm like, well, fuck you.
Fuck.
And so I'm
Last
like,
save file 3 hours ago.
I'm
Double
like,
fuck.
oh, I've already got this. Like, I like all my guys are like maxed out anyway, so it doesn't really matter because I had a cheat code set up where whenever I beat an enemy, however many enemies are on the map, you get a random item drop.
Yeah, I remember that.
From any enemy, so you can fight. Essentially, the first enemies you fight as you walk out are like rabbits. And one of the first drops I got from them was like the best sword in the game. And so
yes, rabbits, notorious for being the strongest enemy to drop the rarest loot.
And so yeah, I'm just like, oh, okay, well, this just made this game a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
Because
But,
there's one part where you're supposed to grind your characters to the point because you have to fight this octopus in the middle of this river.
Oh, that sounds cool.
And
yeah.
so you're supposed to grind on this river up until to where he can get hit by the octopus, because he ends up doing a final attack on everyone, and if the guy who is needing to survive dies, then the game's over.
Yeah. I hate games that do that.
And so you have to level him up until he gets that to where he can at least take the punch. And I'm like, well, I'm wondering if this is going to be, and this is very interesting when you see it like that. I actually hit him with the sword, and it cast Pearl on him, and he's just like, and I'm dead. Like there was nothing left. Like he just disappeared, and that was that.
Oh, that was it?
Yeah.
Is her phase 2?
Nope. Like, well, I mean, like he comes back. He's a regular recurring character in that game. But usually, it's like, oh, I'm gonna hit everyone. This guy's dead. Whatever. And yeah, he just hit him once, and it was like, oh,
Just bonk.
fucking sweet. I don't have to worry about that shit. Like,
Yeah. It's I did like the first one, but 2 and 3 I just did not like at all.
I did not like the gameplay for 2, but the story had me invested.
Mm-hmm.
Good God, everyone just kept dying.
Yeah. The third one, I wanted to like the third one, but I just ended up thinking, fuck this. It was like the job system from 5, but done terribly.
It was like the prototype for it.
Yeah. It was like a bad version of the job system. And no, I didn't like it. 4, 5, and 6, well, the first half of 6, I quite enjoyed. But I started with 7, like that was the first one I ever played, and so 7 to 10 is kind of like the sweet spot for me where I really enjoyed the series.
Yeah, when it first went 3D.
Yeah.
Or Well, I guess yeah, it would be considered 3D. The backgrounds were like Resident Evil 1, where it was pictures pretty much stapled onto the screen.
Yes, very much so.
And it maintained its turn base.
More or less. I think 7 was active time battle, so it wasn't turn based.
Well,
but it was close enough.
I think
it was as
where was it?
It was
3 or
as
4
close,
started with active time.
It was as close to. Well, yeah, I think 3 had.
But like Final Fantasy
6.
X was pure. Final Fantasy X was pure turn based.
Yeah.
You had like a speed stat that determined how often you got a turn, but there was no active time battle. Time froze when it was your turn, and you could take as long as you wanted to, like look at your options and scroll through items, whatever you wanted to do.
You're like, I gotta take a shit.
yeah. The clock was stopped. You had nothing to be worried about taking damage or getting, any negative effects while you were.
That kind of reminds me of like Grandia 2.
I don't think I've played that.
That one kind of seems like it's based on the speed stat rather than time, because it's based on it's like that each character has their time to go.
Mm-hmm.
And usually the fastest character or the strongest character goes first. And like the highest level character. Like there's you have your main character, and then you have the supporting annoying character.
That guy.
Or in Grandia 2's case, girl.
Oh.
And
that
then,
bitch.
And then once you get like there's a kind of a chaperone you stumble upon, and he's like super massively leveled compared to your guys, and he's just like, all right, I'm just gonna walk over here, stab this guy, and he's dead. What are you guys gonna do?
Apparently get carried, so
yeah,
pretty much.
Oh man.
I thought 9 was actually quite interesting because, like, the way you gain your skills is from items. So, like, it's kind of like 7 Remake. You know how if you use the weapon enough, the skill becomes permanent? It's the same thing with 9, but it's all items. So, like, you could have, like, a piece of armor that gives you haste. If you use it enough times, your character just
has haste.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I thought that was a cool system, and it actually made you consider, is it worth upgrading my equipment? Like, should I buy a new sword that does more damage, or stick with this one until I learn the ability from it?
Like, sword that's better than the one I'm thinking of buying, because it has a stat effect that now is just permanent on the thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I did think that was an interesting approach. I did like 9 quite a bit, but 10 is my favorite. Out of the entire series, 10 is my favorite.
Yeah, so far I've enjoyed 4 a lot, and
4 was good.
Final Fantasy 14, but that's because someone bought that for me, and I've been enjoying that. I'm kind of an MMO nerd.
Yeah, I've not played any of the MMOs, so I don't know anything about 11 or 14.
I've seen gameplay for 11, and I'm like, oof, fuck, man, hell no.
I bought 11. I got it home. I installed it, and they're like, "Give me your credit card." I'm like, "And return." There you go.
Yeah.
Yep, it's a subscription based, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, 14 is as well.
I'm like, nope.
No, as soon as I heard that they were MMOs, I just lost all interest. Like, okay, well, I'm not buying it. I don't care. I don't want to play an MMO.
Yep. Thankfully, unlike most game series, even though it's numbered, none of the games have anything to do with each other.
Well, they've all got a Sid. I think that's the consistent element.
I think since 2. Yeah, 2 is where I first saw Sid's name, because 1 is like, yeah, there's King, what's his face, and woman over there. Go talk to them.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Origin of Shadow?
That's the remake retelling thing of 1, right?
Yeah. It is.
It looks weird.
I watched it. I watched the trailer, and I'm like, okay, I can see that. Because I was always saying, if they're gonna remake, like do a full remake on any game, they should do it with 1. That way, at least you have kind of some. Yeah,
you have a lot to work with.
It's a lot to work with, and you have freedom to tell what kind of story you want to tell.
The game was so vague that you can just add shit in and change things around.
Yeah.
And I doubt anyone would even really care.
And then, as soon as the trailer mentioned that his name was Jack Garland, I'm like, fuck, it's a prequel. Like,
God damn it.
And I'm just like, you could have at least come up with something. Like a different name altogether, and just having Garland be some sort of like ominous dark force that
That was actually my reaction to Final Fantasy VII Remake. Is like, it's not a remake. It's like they're remaking history or whatever, like Sephiroth's grand plan, or like, so they advertised it as if we're remaking Final Fantasy VII, but it's really more of like a spin-off or a sequel. And I can understand why a lot of people were quite annoyed at that.
I was more pissed off that PlayStation Plus had it on their free giveaway like 2 months. Yeah. 2 months after I fucking bought it.
Yeah, I bought it on
you
Epic.
Guys.
I bought it on Epic because it wasn't on Steam for a long time. So
yeah, I saw it on Steam when it released. It was on sale. It's like, I think I'll wait until I play the original, since I do own that on the PS4.
I mean, Remake has its good qualities, but overall, I didn't like the gameplay. It looks amazing. It's got very beautiful graphics. And I mean, the story is interesting, even if I disapprove of like the direction it went. But no, it's good for having like modern images of like the characters, so you can see like, oh my god, Cloud looks like an actual person, not like
not fucking blocks or whatever the fuck it was back in the day.
Yeah.
Like, huh.
So it's cool to see everyone like actually look like people. But the graphics were really the only thing that carried that game for me.
Rather than Duplo Popeye characters.
Yeah.
Or when you're in combat, those character models, which were actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I've seen them before. Those were pretty decent. It's like, huh. It looks like Metal Gear, but they have faces.
Mm-hmm.
Like the combat is the combat graphics were good to a degree. I would say the few movie parts that they have in there, like it seems like they didn't even match like even the characters
Super
they're even trying to
claymation.
be. Yeah, it was very 90s computer graphics.
Yes. Yes, it was.
Honestly, it looked worse than the talking heads from Fallout.
Oh, yeah.
Those are like, disturbing in a way, but at least it's like, huh, I could see where it worked in a kind of, sort of. That shit's still weird.
But yeah, I was thinking about it. 10 is not only my favorite, it's the last one that's good in my mind. Like, because I didn't do the MMOs, 12 and 13 and 15 I didn't like.
I always hear bad stuff about 13. That's the one with the girl, right? Lightning.
Yeah. Yes.
It's the one that has like not 3 other games. It comes with a couple sequels.
Yeah. That's the other one that was popular enough in Japan that it got sequels made. But But 13 is a corridor simulator where, like, when you get to 10, 10 is very linear. 13 doesn't even disguise it. 13 has you walking down a corridor. There's occasional branch off points, but they all lead to dead ends. Like, you can't get lost in this game. You walk in a line and fight things at fixed points. It's
until the second to last part of the game.
Yeah.
And even then,
right near the end, there's an open world level.
And even then, like, their missions are linear to where, to like the first, like, you have when you get down to, I think it was Grand Pulse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you get down there, it's just like you get this nice open world, and everything's trying to kill you.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I actually liked 13.2, I think it was, a lot more than the original 13. It was still linear, but they did what they did with 10.2, where it was kind of more mission based. So each mission was quite linear, but like
they hit it better.
Yeah, it didn't feel like the entire game was walking in a line because it was broken up. Like, I'm going to do this mission. Okay, you click the button, do the mission, and it's pretty linear. But then, something happens, this story interaction, and they're like, okay, let's do another mission. And that mission is linear too, but they split it up. They made it a bit more palatable to be walking in a straight line quite so much.
And it's not like it was, oh, you finished mission 1, now here's mission 2. You can you can do mission 3 and kind of hopefully win. But
No, you can do them in whatever order you want. Yeah. I mean, there's unlock orders, like you have to do mission X to unlock mission Y, but it's not 1 then 2 then 3. It could be like, do mission 3, mission 5, and mission 2, and then you'll unlock mission 8. It's like,
then come back to do 4, then go do 8.
you can do it in whatever order you want within reason.
Although my favorite is when I got down there, I'm like, holy shit, that's a giant turtle. I wonder if I can do anything with this. And I walk up to it like I'm not expecting it to attack me, and it very much did.
Yeah, of course it did. Yeah.
And all of a sudden it looked at you and tried to eat you like you were grass.
Well, no, it just moves its foot and casts Quake, and then you're done. Like that's all it was. It was just a step, and I was gone.
That happened to me too. Yeah.
It's like, well, I'll come back to you guys later.
I will ride you later.
And then, come to find out that you had to power up the annoying girl to get her to cast Death, and then hope that it hit.
I gotta love those.
Vanille was annoying, but unfortunately, she was also very powerful in gameplay terms. So you did have to use her on your team quite a bit.
Yeah. Zaz was the only character that had any personality.
I'd say so. Hope was a pain in the ass. Snow was an idiot. Lightning was just female Cloud, really. She wasn't really that good.
Just emo kid.
Yeah.
Just an emo kid.
Fang was okay. She wasn't as bad as some of the others, but Zaz was the only one that I actually liked. He was this guy's cool. And 15, I had more fun getting my because one of the things you can do is get someone else to drive the car for you, and there's kind of quick travel but not quick. It's just he drives there, so you don't have to. Get him to drive somewhere, put the radio on. And then as soon as you arrive, just get him to drive you somewhere else. That was how I enjoyed Final Fantasy 15 far more than actually playing it.
Uber Simulator.
Well, I mean, I like the Final Fantasy soundtracks for most of the games, and so it's like I'll put on the Final Fantasy VII soundtrack and just have him drive me around.
Now, a friend of mine actually bought me Final Fantasy 15 because he bought 15 and then bought Royale Edition.
Okay.
And turns out it was the same thing.
Oh,
So he just gave me his original copy.
fair enough.
And I'm like, all right, sweet.
It's I stopped liking Final Fantasy once they went away from turn-based. Like once they tried to make it more actiony, like they did in 15. Like, oh no, this is not what I want at all.
If I wanted to play an action game, I would play an action game.
Yeah.
I kind of wish,
Yeah, I can understand that.
like with Crisis Core, it was like I can see what they were doing with that, but yeah, it wasn't. It just wasn't the same.
I mean, even 13 had a really weird combat system where you couldn't even control the characters that, like, you had to pick one character as the leader, and you could control them, and the others you could give them like
Commands,
AI
sort
roles.
of.
Like you could say,
Oh.
this guy is going to be a Ravager, so he'll cast elemental magic. This guy's going to be like a cleric or a healer or whatever the
So he'll be
Sentinel. I
medic.
think
So kind of like the
Sentinel,
thing in Dragon Age Origins that you can do with your characters.
yeah. Where you
Oh.
can set up AI for them. But unlike Dragon Age, you have no choice to, like, you cannot control them. There's no option for you to control your entire party. You control the main character, and then you have AI roles for the other, and they just sort of like do. And like, no, fuck this. There's like, and it was even worse because the guy you control, if they die, it's game over. Even if you've got a medic who could bring you back to life easily, too bad, it's game over. Fuck you.
Yeah,
That's stupid.
they can die.
It is.
That's fine, but you can't. You're not allowed.
Yeah, so like if someone like if one of your AI buddies dies, easy to bring them back, no problem. You die, your character dies. Oh fuck you, that's it, game over.
Back to checkpoint.
Yeah, and it's absurd, especially in a game that has instant death. Like if your
Oh,
main
wow,
character gets targeted
yeah.
with instant death, what do? Start over.
The fights with the summons were a pain in the ass.
Oh god, yes, those were the worst by far.
And the sad part is it would tell you how to beat them. Like, and like you had to be like, okay, let's do this, and then you go through doing exactly the way that it shows you, and you have a time limit
Yes.
to beat them, and it was hit and miss on whether or not you beat them within that time limit. Like whenever I died from the summon, it's because I ran out of time.
Yes, yeah, that was the same with me.
Yeah, that just sounds annoying. Fucking hate
Yeah,
time
yeah.
limit shit. Especially when they
Um,
give you a kind of unreasonable time. It's like, oh great, yeah, I got like 10 seconds to spare when I'm doing good.
No, but the other thing is they're not conventional fights where you just have to deal a certain amount of damage. You have to figure out the trick to progress this bar, and like you have to fill the bar before the time runs out. And like one of them is pretty straightforward. You just have to block, and every time you block damage, it fills up the bar. But there were some of them that were like really pushing to like get them killed in time. Because you're not trying to kill them, you're trying to recruit them essentially, like make them.
You have to hit them enough to like be like, okay, we get it. We're with
We
you
get it.
now.
You're badass, and I will join your team.
Yes, exactly.
But not really. You'll just summon me for a big attack once in a while.
Well, unless you're Hope, then it's just like, oh, you sit there and let me hit you a while. I guess I'll join you now. and they made Shiva a motorcycle. That was fucking stupid. That was so stupid.
They made Shiva a motorcycle?
Yeah. Let's see.
Oh my god.
The first one, Odin was a horse, which is understandable.
Yeah.
The next one was Shiva, and they made her a motorcycle.
As you do.
Let's see, who was the third one?
I've already forgotten all this stuff.
I think you would make Shiva at least ice-based vehicle. Fuck. A
A
snowmobile
a
or
sleigh.
something. I don't know. A sleigh.
Just a Santa sleigh. See, Zaz was a car.
Okay.
Fangs was the dragon.
Oh, all right. So we got some fantasy in our Final Fantasy.
Let's see here. I can't remember Vanille's.
Yeah, I haven't played 13 in a while, so I don't remember the specifics like Johnny does. But
it's been ages, but it's.
Isn't one of the 13s called Lightning's Return?
That's the third one.
Okay. I heard a long time ago from a friend back in high school that there was a time limit for the game.
There is.
Oh. How long is the time limit?
I don't remember, but I can tell you that I never had any issues with the time limit. I never came close to like running out of time. It was not an issue in the slightest. So,
all right.
Unless I'm like unusually talented at the game, which I highly doubt, it's quite a forgiving time limit. I'm pretty sure there were ways to rewind time as well.
Oh, like I was about to say Ocarina of Time. Majora's Mask.
Not
Same
to that,
difference.
not to start over. Just like you can fulfill certain requirements and it'll buy you an extra day. Like if you complete these quests, your time limit gets extended.
Well, that's cool.
But
I heard my friend always complain about it, but I think he was one of those dudes that's like, I must do everything in the game.
No, but you can. You absolutely can do everything in the game, because that extends the time limit. If you because the way it works is your goal is to save the souls of everyone in Spira, or not Spira, whatever the land is in 13.
Insert name of world here.
Yeah, but you've got to save everyone's soul, and every time you succeed, that like allows you to continue, like expands the time limit. So if you sit there grinding,
that's right. Oh, go ahead.
No, if you sit there grinding the side quests, which is what I did, you actually do build up quite a nice buffer of time.
Ah, all right, sweet.
Yeah, this is Vanille's. Robot legs with machine guns.
Of course.
Oh my god. Yep, that screams Japan if I've ever seen it.
All right. Let's see who else was there.
Yeah, right up there with I don't know what game it is. There's this one where the final boss looks like some vagina monster. I have no idea what it is. Or maybe it's like a penis vagina monster. It's something weird, and it's like, why is this a thing?
So I just was thinking, have you played any of the Final Fantasy, like not counting the ones you've played as part of your Play the Series, have you not played any of the series at all?
Nope. Only one I ever played was Final Fantasy 1 on the Game Boy.
Cool. Because most people who like Final Fantasy have like played it over the years, this sort of thing. So it's kind of cool that you're like experiencing this for the first time.
Oh,
Yeah, actually, it's a pretty fun experience so far. You know, there's a couple games where it's like, oh god, man, this is kind of a slog to get through. Two.
Yeah. Okay, Hopes is Alexander. He's a giant, and he turns into pillars.
Into what?
Pillars.
Oh, okay.
Pillars of Salt and Sand?
Well, they shoot lasers, I think, if I remember correctly. and they stomp things. So yeah, it's all over the place.
I turn into the obelisk of your lasery doom.
But
And then
no,
we have Bahamut, who turns into a dragon.
well, you would hope.
Yep. Dude, that still disappoints me. They removed the intro scene to Final Fantasy 14. It was so fucking cool. A mop.
Let's fly, bitch.
No,
so,
but like,
oh, go ahead.
a lot of people hated 10-2, like the sequel to 10, and like I get it, but it's like they weren't doing themselves any favors by making it so girly. It's like you play as 3 pop stars, and like
You play in a K-pop band.
But instead of jobs, like the job system in 3 and 5, you have dress spheres, and like you change their outfit to give them different powers.
So it's the Barbie of Final Fantasies.
So yeah, like if you can look past the aesthetic, which is very girly, the game itself is good. It's just that
I remember the
have
trailer.
a target audience in mind.
I remember the trailer, and I'm thinking, I don't think I want to play this. Like,
No, a lot of people like would take a look at it and decide I don't want to play this because it looks like it's targeting teenage girls. And like if you can put yourself in the mind space of, sure, they're called dress spheres, but really they're just character classes. If you just strip away the aesthetic and look at the function beneath it, it is a fun game. It's just you have to deal with a lot of very girly aesthetic to get to the fun part.
If you brush aside the lot of window dressing,
Yes, exactly.
you'll eventually get there.
No, but it's like Pokemon is like, I don't like the overly cute aesthetic of a lot of the Pokemon, but the game underneath is awesome.
The gameplay is pretty tight.
Yeah,
Mechanically.
yeah. I mean, I don't particularly care for the aesthetic of the game, but that I can put that aside because the mechanics are solid, and it's the same with 10-2, where if you can ignore, like, not everyone can. Some people get that ruins it for them, and I understand. But if you can put that aside, it is a good game. But it's a big ask to put all that aside.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, oh fuck, this is not what I was expecting.
No, and I think that's why it's one of the most reviled games in the series. Like, everyone hates it, and it's because they were expecting a follow-up to 10. They weren't expecting J-pop meets Final Fantasy.
Yeah, now honestly, my interest is peaked just solely to see the fucking lols of it.
and it's funny.
Like,
It's funny because I bought the Final Fantasy 4 or the Final Fantasy combo pack for the PlayStation 4,
Right.
with 10 and 10-2, and it has the interlude. I have only watched the interlude,
Okay.
and I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck's going on. So everyone, like in the trailer, I'm trying to pick out in the first game for Final Fantasy X. I'm trying to pick out who's a good character, who's a bad character, because I still don't have any idea what's going on. And so I watched this, and I'm like, oh, she must be a good character because she's talking to this person. Like, yep, apparently. And it was, I think it was Lulu talking to, what's her face? The main heroine. Yeah.
Yeah, Lulu is a good, like a hero. She's in your party.
Yes.
And Lulu was like, I always tried to have her win fights because of her win animation. I will point out that I was a horny teenager at the time, but
were we all at one point?
That is a prevailing memory of Final Fantasy X. Was I'm going to get Lulu to win, so she leans forward in her win pose.
But Boobies.
And it was funny because my stepson, my eldest stepson, would actually watch whenever I was playing like the THUR series. I think we were playing 4, and we got where we recruited Gene, and the more the series goes ahead in its numbers, like the more revealing clothing Jean wears. And you get to 3, she's kind of like it's still like, I don't know, it's still a very thin dress,
Right.
but you get to 4 and 5 and it's nothing.
Your stepson's over there. Are you gonna get the next game?
and it was funny because my stepson loved not watching me play the series because he was still kind of, it wasn't really like his thing, but he liked the actual watching the gameplay. So I was like, all right, sure. And my girlfriend at the time, she's just like, what's with the boobs? Like,
You just look at her chest. What's with your boobs? Judging shit.
hey, Frosted. Hey, yet another sport.
Sport.
Hasn't seen me streaming. I could have sworn that was like 5 minutes ago, man. I don't know. That could have been a long 5 minutes.
Now it's
Yeah, the 10-2 sounds like it's going to be hilarious. Like when I stream Metal Gear, it's entirely just for the fucking laughs.
I was really hoping that they would be able to bring back the Suikoden series because they still have a lot of. They can do the Final Fantasy 15 with the Suikoden series if they really wanted to, just because there is a lot to it. Because it doesn't just take place at, and it's all connected, which is the funny part. Because the timeline is, I think it's 4, 5, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I think they should just forget the non-essential parts of the game and just focus on throwing dice into the cup.
Yeah. You know, and I really hate that they got rid of that exploit between 1 and 2. In 1, they have this game where you have this cup, and you have 3 dice, and you roll, and if 2 of the dice match, the third dice is your number, and then your number has to be higher than the other person's. And if you get triples of 2 through 6, you get triple the money that you bet. If you get triple ones, then you pay triple for what you bet. If you get 1, 2, 3, you pay double, and if you get 4, 5, 6, they pay double. And you could, and I use save states like a son of a bitch. And like, especially in the last game when I was playing, they're like, I rolled a 6. I'm like, the fuck you did. Boop. But when they roll, it's kind of stuck because it's a number that the computer rolls before, like, at the start of the round.
It's seeded, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Preset RNG, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a seed, and it's just picking the next number from the random number seed. So you can't really do much to change it.
Yep. All I know is gambling will never be as easy as it was in Fallout 1. Fucking did that because I played through the game getting ready to stream it eventually. Because I've heard this game is cryptic as fuck, and if you don't know what you're doing, then you're going to be screwed. And they're not wrong.
No, it's very...
So
very
I followed the
hard
guide
to-
like a bitch.
Yeah. Now, I played Fallout 1 and then died horribly. It's like, All right, there's the walkthrough. Just tell me what I'm doing.
I tried streaming it once a long time ago and got stuck in the glow and couldn't get past the robots. It's like, well, fuck me.
Hmm.
What do I do?
Never played the Fallout series.
No?
But no, like in the first game, when you win a round, it's like, oh, do you want to keep gambling with your earnings to go double or nothing? And you're like, sure. And so you could keep going until you max out your earnings. And then you can turn around, power up all your weapons, get the best armor you can purchase at the time, and then just cycle repeat, and then just keep building up your stuff. And then I think they saw that and they're like, yeah, we're not going to do that this time.
I hate
that's kind of broken.
I think they should leave that stuff in there. I mean, if you are willing to ruin your fun by, exploiting a glitch, let people do it. It's not like you can accidentally
do
this.
Something you gotta do intentionally.
Yeah. So if that's the experience you want, let people do it. It's like there's a game I'm playing called Desktop Dungeons, and there was an exploit where one of the character classes always does a magical attack, and there's these plants that do 0 damage but are immune to magic. And so you could set it up so you could get infinite piety with one of the gods, because you could give yourself a 10% dodge chance and just attack the plant indefinitely, and eventually you'll dodge and you get piety every time you dodge. And so you could just give yourself infinite piety doing this. And I said, you know what? We're going to take that out of the game. Like, why? For what purpose?
Because fuck you and your fun. Yeah, I don't get why they do that. I mean, I can understand the thing of, you made a game and you want it to work a certain way. But there's a point where it's like, you don't need to fix every bug.
No, but like I could understand if it was something you could accidentally do. If you could accidentally run into problems, and like someone who wanted like a clean run could accidentally have this happen to them and ruin their experience, fix that. But if you have to go out of your way to exploit something, 99% of people aren't going to know to do it. So let people do what they want.
It's like there's a spot in Elden Ring where you're right next to a checkpoint that you can reload the area every time you sit at it. And right across the way is a giant monster that if you shoot it with one arrow, it'll try to get you and run itself right off of a cliff like a moron and drop you tons of souls. And you can just sit there and grind it. I don't think FromSoft at any point would ever get rid of it, because they understand the point of, well, you got to sit here and do that intentionally. If you want to become God by over-leveling, then go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's the same in Witcher 3. You used to be able to kill cows for their skins and sell them for like a lot of money. And so they actually stopped people from doing that. They said if you kill X number of cows in X amount of time, then this like giant cow comes and kills you. Like, they at least made it funny. But like, why stop people from ruining their own single-player experience? If you want to spend 5 hours killing cows for their skins to like give yourself infinite money, you should be fine to do that.
Hey, reject.
Yeah, I don't get why some companies just make the decisions that they do. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I think if it's a bug that could ruin someone's experience, definitely. If it's something you have to go out of your way to do, then just let people have fun.
Well, and then I didn't even actually know this when I first started playing Suikoden 2. When I first played it, I just played it normally, like anyone would. A game. I don't really... I'm not mechanically as far as games go, mechanically sound to like, oh yeah, if I do this, this is how this will go. There's a glitch where once you get to essentially where you're able to travel to this town called MotZ, if you go north to the border up there, they'll be like, oh, you can't go in here, the gate's closed. But if you push on the gate, it'll actually push the gate out of the way, so you can just go past there. And granted, the enemies are like the hardest that you'll fight in the game. But if you make it to the first town, you're actually able to recruit a couple characters who are high enough level to help your
kill those enemies.
To help your characters level up. So, in the first part of the game, when you're supposed to be like level 10, you're already at level 40.
Nice. Speaking of, did you take advantage of the peninsula of power leveling, or whatever they call it, in Final Fantasy 1, Kyle?
I don't think so. What's power leveling?
So what it is there is like the world map is separated into like these squares, and like each square has its own encounters. So like the idea is that you won't encounter anything too high above your level, because like everything in this geographic region is level 5 to 10. But there was 4 squares that were accidentally labeled as being in the adjacent square from like the end of the game. So if you had a way of killing them, you could encounter end of game monsters about a third of the way through the game. So if you had like a black mage who could damage everyone and like kill these things, you could just fly up the levels.
Oh, cool. No, I don't think I found that. At least, or maybe I did and was doing it unintentionally.
No, you'd notice. These things were like way above your level.
I know the thing was, whenever I get to a new town, I would be like, all right, now to spend the next hour grinding for money to buy everything in town.
Yeah, so what, like, I forget exactly where it was on the map, but you could go and, like, level grind, but you could level grind against things from the end of the game to make it faster and get more money. So it was dangerous because you could die very easily.
Peninsula of Power. Let's see if I can find it on here.
But yeah, if you had a class that could do it, it was like typically I think Black Mage was the one that you wanted to be able to kill these things. You could just get a ton of money and experience.
Weirdly enough, I've played through Final Fantasy 1 twice. Have never used a Black Mage.
Racist.
I used Thief, and I realized, good God, this was a horrible mistake. Why am I using Thief?
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding. That Rabtoons cartoon is real with it, where the thief is always dead in the background.
No, the thief sucks, but he upgrades to the ninja, who's actually pretty good.
If you can good God, it's not worth it.
If you can stick with him to that point of the game, he does get a lot better once you upgrade him.
Yeah.
Especially since they can learn haste, which is really good.
Yeah.
And
haste your monk and watch him kill everything.
And it's funny because I was thinking about, I think it was when they were talking about difficulty levels.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, typically your difficulty level is based on who you pick, for your mission. Like you can pick, for the same character.
4 white mages, baby.
Yeah. Like four white mages would probably be the hardest the hardest difficulty you can make.
Yeah.
Yeah. 4 knights.
4 knights.
Pretty much easy mode.
Well, for the most part, like they are still susceptible to magic.
I forget what they're called. The kung fu guys, the martial artists.
It's monk, and then it turns into black belt.
That's the one. apparently those are the ones that just break the game with how powerful they get. Like they start off shit, and then by the end of the game, they're utterly broken.
Yeah, once
Yep.
once you upgrade, like shit gets real.
Yeah,
Especially if you cast haste on them. Oh my god.
because I
They're just
remember
over there
hearing about people.
9,000 every time.
Yeah, I remember hearing people one shot the final boss with a black belt because he was hasted and he hit the thing like 16 times, and each one did a ton of damage, and it was just like dead.
But
Oh, man.
I'm not sure about the first one because I remember like experimenting because I like to play with the cheat codes to see how far you can push things.
Right.
Because like with and I found out with like Suikoden 3, if you, because I maxed all my guys out thinking I'm just like, okay, I'll just boost their levels a little bit to where I can make them strong enough to defeat characters that, you know, they're not normally supposed to beat, to see if they, you know, if you actually can beat them, if the game will let you do it, or if it's something that they have to kill you because that's what's supposed to happen. Mm-hmm. And instead of making them like level like 40 in the first part of the game like I was planning, it maxed them out to from level 99. And I'm like, okay, well let's see if see how this works. And yeah, they're like essentially the 3 boss battles are the first people that you fight are like the end of the boss battle level, and you just smoke them. And the guy that you fight is just so pissed off that you won. He's just like, oh, all right, next time I'll smoke you, and we'll see how we'll see how it goes. And then the next time you fight him, which is not much longer after that, he just gets even more mad because he's just like, what's going on here?
What the fuck? I'm level X. Why the hell are you beating me?
It's the over leveling thing. I did get annoyed with Chrono Trigger. New Game Plus was like, it was cool at first to be able to like kill bosses in one hit, but it ended up just making the game too boring. It was like I was doing it for the extra endings, but it's kind of like, nah, I don't care. It's like it's not entertaining to do anymore. So I did get disappointed with that.
Yeah, that's the one god damn it, RPG. God damn it. I don't know why that's in my head. Maybe because I'm staring at Final Fantasy 14 on my Steam page. Anyways, that was one of the few RPGs that I didn't finish. Not because I didn't want to, just because I got distracted by other things. By the time I would come back to it, it's like, where the fuck am I and how do I play this game?
No, it's fun. It's funny you say that, because Chrono Trigger is one of the games where I just never finished it for the longest time. Like I started playing it like 5 times, and then each time just I get close to the end, and then something would distract me, and I'd never actually finish it. So it took me like 20 years to actually finish the game because I think, what the fuck was I? I'll just start over, and and yeah, so every few years, I'd be like, oh yeah, I should play Chrono Trigger, and you know, it took me a long time to like, no, I'm gonna finish this. I'm gonna stick it out. I don't care. Nothing's gonna make me stop.
Your house is on fire. I can't stop. I'm playing Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
So in the first Final Fantasy, the Peninsula Power is right here. So like these 4 squares.
Yes.
Right here.
They're actually considered part of the square above, where it says the 22.
Yeah.
The game thinks those 4 squares are in that region, so you fight the high level enemies instead.
Huh. Yeah, I like the map for Final Fantasy 1.
I
just like how it's cool where you start off in this little secluded area. And you blow up the side of a continent. It's like, there you go. Now the world is your oyster.
Well, and I saw that they were, when I saw that they were doing the Origin of Shadows, I figured they were going to use the same map. And it's like, oh, well, you know, you can explore the map. No, you don't even get to do that.
Oh boy.
It's like, oh, you're going to go where you select the location rather than you explore to that dungeon.
Oh.
And that really annoys me. I much prefer the openness to it, like where you can, you know, kind of explore to your own whim. You can either beeline there, or you can go where the fuck you want. Like, it doesn't matter.
Oh, I wonder what's up at the top of this continent. Oh, nothing. I wonder what's at the bottom of this one.
Have a good night, Reject.
Man. I do like that the older Final Fantasy games, they were kind of like the open world games of their time.
Yeah.
A lot more compared to like Zelda or other games that were considered what would be open world in a way.
Well, Zelda, you had a very fixed path that you had to go. It looked like an open world, but until you found the item that lets you progress in a certain direction, there was only like one place for you to go. It was very, very linear. It just didn't look it.
Yeah, there was a couple dungeons that you could get to from the beginning, no problem, but other ones are just like, no, you need like the raft to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or something to burn this bush out of your fucking way. That was a dick move. Here, we'll hide one of the important dungeons you need to get to beat the game under a bush.
Well, and even like if you were trying to 100% the thing, like unless you were willing to experiment on every square of the map, like you weren't gonna find anything.
No.
I hated Zelda 1 for that reason. It was like I couldn't find anything because you need to like scour literally every square. Okay, try blowing this up.
Well,
no, nothing.
And it's really funny because my mom made an entire map of the first Legend of Zelda. Like,
wow.
And
back in those days,
and she
brought out some grid paper so you could do it.
And she wonders where I got it from.
Yeah.
Like she had full maps made of where everything was, and so like if I wanted to play it, I can just go hunt it down and then, you know, do whatever. But I kind of I'm just like, okay, well, let's go with the Outworld map. And she played through to where she got everything that she could find at the time. And I'm like, well, aren't you supposed to have like all the hearts? And she goes, no, there's nothing left. There's just, you know, I think she had all but 2. And she's like, yeah, there's no place left for me to bomb or whatever. And I'm like, okay. I was just thinking that there were, you know, I think it's like 20 hearts that you're supposed to get, maybe.
Yeah,
that sounds correct.
And so I was thinking, nope, there's only 18 hearts. And then I'm going through the thing, and they're like, oh, well, if you play the flute here, it opens up a cave where you can do this. And I'm like, who would do that?
No, exactly.
It was just one of those games where they expected you to be like, yeah, you could have beat the game, but there's not many other games to play, so you'll just keep replaying this.
Like I was more mad that they actually found use of the flute, other than just that one enemy, than like, oh, I actually can use this thing somewhere. Like,
There's Zelda 3, A Link to the Past. That's where the series got good. The first 2 games I could quite easily never play again, but Zelda 3 was good. That was where it started to be a proper game.
It's kind of like Metroid. It wasn't really good till the 3rd game.
Yeah.
First one was like, oh dear God. Second one was on the Game Boy, so
no one played
it. Third one, everyone praises. It's like, it's fucking Super Metroid. You
Super
talk
Metroid
shit about
was
it, I'm killing you.
No, Super Metroid was good. I did like it.
Yeah.
But regular Metroid, the NES one, was god awful.
Yeah. The remake on the Game Boy was pretty good. And I wish they would fucking port it to the Switch. I want to play it.
I think they should port it to Steam so I can play it.
Nintendo, port all your stuff to Steam. You'll make money. I'm sure of it.
I guarantee it.
Oh.
You'll get at least one purchase from me.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of games that I would play. And actually, I another thing I didn't realize till later with as Frosted has brought up with bombing Dodongos.
Yes.
If you miss with a bomb on the Dodongo and it sits there and it's like, having an asthma attack, you can actually kill it with your sword.
Yes.
Immediately after that. I never thought that was an option. Like,
I gotta wait for it to stop doing its flailing so I could bomb it again.
Yeah, so I'm thinking like, oh, motherfucker, I don't even have to do that. Like, I showed my mom that. And this was like 20 years later. And she goes, when'd you find that out? I'm like, 2 weeks ago.
I didn't. Someone showed me. Oh, man. That's the cool thing about old school games is that they were so cryptic that 20 years later someone would be like, oh, holy shit, did you know this was a thing? And everyone else is like, no, that's a thing?
No, that happened in Street Fighter Alpha 2, where like 20 years after the game was released, they found an extra mechanic in it. It's like, did you know that if you lose the first round, your attacks do 1 extra damage? Like, each attack, the amount of damage is increased by 1. And it's like a little comeback mechanic. And it's like, no one knew this until like 20 years after the game was released, when they started, like hacking the code and like stuff. And it's like, oh shit, this is a thing.
It's like, oh, this is cool. I'm going to exploit the shit out of this.
Yeah, it's like not that significant if it's like a single hit, but if you've got, a move that, hits 5 times, like Akuma does his Hurricane Kick into Dragon Punch, and it's a 5-hit combo. That starts adding up to a lot more damage if you do that sort of stuff.
It accumulates.
It definitely does.
Yeah, unfortunately, I could never get into the Street Fighter type games. I've always had a problem with, having to do a 13-button combination just to cast fucking Fireball.
I don't know. I'm bad at doing the combos. The special moves I can do, they're easy for me, but I can never do like big long combos. I typically sort of max out at low kick into Fireball. It's like that's my combo. I'm sticking to it.
Mine's button mash. Maybe I'll win a round, possibly.
The Eddie Gordo method.
But button mashing does not work in fighting games. It really doesn't.
Not as much as you think it would. Only when you're fighting against someone else that's button mashing.
Well, yes. If you're both button mashing, then it's fine. But if one player has even a slight understanding of what to do, and you're just sitting there flailing on random buttons, you'll get your ass kicked every time.
It could be someone that's like, I can barely juggle. They will stomp you into the ground.
Yeah. The only exclusion is Eddie Gordo from Tekken.
Yeah. Well, no.
I think his is primarily based on trying to get an understanding of the controls. Like,
but
I almost think that he was made for that purpose.
Honda in Street Fighter V is the same, where you can get a lot of benefit out of just simple tools. Like if you just sit there doing 100-hand slap with Honda, it's about as hard to deal with as Eddie Gordo going full like crazy.
Spastic on the controller.
Yeah.
But someone who knows how to play the game can beat it quite easily. It's just that if you're both newbies, that is like an insurmountable strategy, because the other person will have no idea what the fuck is what they're meant to do to stop you, because it's a lot of power for little effort.
Yeah. Where even to the point where there's the common thing of stop button mashing. You're cheating. I'm not
doing it
cheating.
on
I'm just
purpose.
pressing everything. Yeah, you're doing that on purpose. Oh, man. But unfortunately, guys, I got to head out. I need to shove some food in my face.
All right.
Fair enough. I was late to joining the stream for that exact reason. I had to eat.
I'm going to go have some Mexican food, some Taco Bell.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us.
Yep. Thank you for having me, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night and your stream.
Yeah, catch you later.
See ya.
Yep. Peace.
Yeah, that's. I'm not really good at fighting games as I have demonstrated several times against you.
I'm not good, but I'm at the point where I at least know the basics. Like, and it takes a long time to get even to that point because that's sort of like how intricate the genre can be at a high level. But even just understanding frame data, once you understand it, a lot of the game just sort of falls into place. So that's like, I mean, if you care enough to get good, which most people rightfully don't, that would be a good starting point. If you want to sort of get better, learning frame data and like how it interacts with the game would be the main thing that you need to focus on.
I was gonna say Reject. I don't know if you've seen it, and I don't like to relish in it, but I the reason why I've called myself the Master of Disguise today is because of Monday's 5-year anniversary stream.
Oh yes,
where and I figured that Hammer has seen me do this plenty of times, to where I put the Prospero.
Prospero.
I put Prospero in, thinking, oh, it's a minion stream. I'll just jump in. Everyone will have a laugh, like, oh, look at the avatar, ha 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 ha. And he goes, oh, we got Prospero in. I'm just like, there's no way he thinks I'm Prospero. Like he's just
playing along.
He's either playing along or like he's just like, ah ha ha. And as soon as he brought, like, everyone went in, everyone came in, I came in, and I'm just like, well, you guys are set for disappointment because everyone was so excited to see Prospero, and then you get me.
What's going on there? What?
Are you?
My Twitter just started playing the stream for some reason.
Oh. Weird.
That's weird.
But yeah, like everyone was expecting Prospero, and then in walks me, and it's like they were pretty much excited, but Kefki's response, priceless, because if you would have seen Jumping for Joy, it would have been Kefki on that stream. And then it just turned into sheer horror. Like
she's very excitable.
Because she goes, Prospero, oh my god, it's Johnny Hellcat.
And I do think it's strange that he was unfamiliar with Prospero and Skepcat and like whatever your name for Gabby's
Gabby G. Whiskers.
Is. That's it.
Yes.
But I'm surprised he hadn't seen you do that many times before. Like you've done it quite often.
Too much, one might say. But no. I thought he was familiar with it, so I would have figured Prospero is not one to change your name. all that often. Like she'll either be Prospero 058, Prospero, or Prospero can't even.
Yeah.
I think those are the only three that I've ever seen her as. And I didn't think that she would be one to use Perspero.
No. That was funny.
Like, I walked in and he's just like, "Oh shit, no, I didn't think it was you. I thought it was actually Prospero." And I'm like, "Oh, sorry." Like,
you should be. How dare you?
I'm like, I'm gonna feel bad about this, but I am not gonna feel bad at all about this.
No, you shouldn't feel bad. I mean, it's been your thing that you do for long enough that people should know of it.
Yeah. No, it's like the counting coup time I did on Prospero's stream, actually, where I asked if I can come in for like 6 seconds, and she's just like, "Oh, he's just being figurative, he'll jump in, say something, and walk out." And I jumped in, played the sound clip, and just immediately ducked out, like without even hesitating, just stopped in, interrupted everyone mid intelligent conversation, played a stupid Rex Reed quote, and then I was out.
Yeah,
but everyone had a good time with it, so I'm happy with it. I'm happy about it. So as long as everyone had a good time, that's all that matters.
I mean, I've actually jumped on one of Quiz's streams purely to say no one in chat can hear you, and then just leave. Because he didn't realize that the audio wasn't coming through. So I was just like, yeah, just don't mind me. I'm just here to tell you chat can't hear anything. You might want to take care of that. Okay, catch you later. Bye.
No, it's and it's funny because it's not just Prospero's that I've used.
Yeah. Your boy Cat.
Prospero actually, hers has the most behind it. It's got a higher body count, as it were. Yeah, I got I got P-Dog on his stream using your boy Cat. And it's funny because he's just like, "Yeah, what up, my brother?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, not much. Just hanging out."
Yeah.
Not being Pat.
You're red, not black. Different set of cards entirely.
Yes. No, it's and then yeah, I think I mean there hasn't been many. I don't think there's. I haven't used it long enough, but no one's. I don't think anyone's ever going to mistake me for Skep Tock.
No.
So that's not going to be a thing, or at least it shouldn't.
No.
I thought that way about Prospero's too. So
yeah. I mean, I would hope Gabby is one that doesn't fool anybody, because that does. Obviously, it's got the same body, but the face is totally different. It's and the face is a major part of the avatar. So
yeah, it's
if you can't see that at a glance,
if you can't tell the difference,
yeah,
it's time to get your eyes checked. Check your insurance.
Yeah, that's obviously a different face. You should be able to see, without even looking, just glancing. Oh, okay, that's not Gabby.
And I've actually thought about changing the one for your boy Cat.
Mm.
Just because in the picture Pat's wearing a hood, and
Okay.
I am now skilled enough at Photoshop where I can actually probably put the face under the hood. So that'll be
Cool.
something I can. That'll be something I can procrastinate on for the next couple of months.
And we've got to think up more cat puns of people you can impersonate.
Yeah, it's one thing when I'm coming up with like Shio clones,
Yeah.
because those are pretty easy. It's mainly just, putting a cheetah face on something. He still likes the one in the wheelchair, so that's always. But I think the classic is Shio Incognito, which is just the hat and mustache.
Right, yeah. I think you should do frosted Shio where it's wearing Groucho glasses.
Yeah, I could try that. And then, oh yeah, I should show. I don't know if Camel showed it. He might have. I think he tweeted it out. But I don't know if he. I'll check. Let's see here.
And frosted is suggesting posted glass.
That picture of Groucho Marx and his cat.
Yeah.
With a prominently displayed butthole.
That's how you know it's a cat.
He's like, yeah, I know where you guys hung out in real life.
And, I forget who it was, but someone posted a picture of a very small black cat wearing a top hat.
That was Jack.
I think he tagged you in it. I don't think he's the one who posted the picture.
Let's see here. Because, yeah, that is a rather adorable cat.
Yeah. Oh no, it's Jack Cochran. Okay. Because I was thinking Jack Dunsky, and Jack Dunsky was the one who tagged you in the picture. So yeah, there's too many Jacks.
There is all the Jacks.
Technically, you could be considered a Jack because Jack is a shortened form of John.
It is a familiar form, yeah.
A book is man's best friend outside of a dog. Inside a dog, it's too dark to read. Groucho Marx. I do like the Marx Brothers. They were good. I have not seen one of their movies in decades, but I remember liking them when I did watch them.
Yeah, there's a couple that I've liked, but yeah, I never really was terribly into.
I forget if it was a like or a retweet, but someone acting on Harper's behalf, I think they liked or retweeted one of my tweets just because I used the word Harpo in the tweet. It's like one of those bots that like scrapes for certain words.
Yeah.
I was like, that's pretty funny that there's a Harpo Marx bot.
Harpo Marx bot.
And yeah, I think it might have replied with honk honk or something like that because Harpo didn't talk. I forget exactly, but Harpo Marx bot interacted with my tweet purely because I mentioned Harpo's name.
Yeah. Is that the one with? Is that like the one with where you mentioned drone strikes, and then it like does this sort of like, oh, I'm going to report this tweet or some shit like that?
Well, this wasn't anything like
Yeah.
that. This was just a bot saying someone said Harpo, so I'm going to like, retweet, and reply. It's I can't remember. This is totally unrelated, but have you played many of the old FMV games that like from like the 90s?
Um, those were typically the point and click ones, right?
Yeah, mostly they were point and click.
I think really the only ones that I played were like something along the lines of like Willy Beamish. And
Like which one?
Willy Beamish.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I guess that kind of counts, but not really because it's not like. I think you're going with more of like the movie.
Yeah.
Ones.
Like
like
even the
text, the CDI tried to make.
Even the Tex Murphy games would count, where there's a lot of FMV sequences, even though there is more of a game to it. It's like a point and click adventure that happens to have a lot of FMV sequences. But I was just thinking, it's like funny how that kind of was like huge and then just died. It was like it was everywhere and then it was nowhere.
I had actually just because I downloaded the demo for there's a 528 Shibuya Scramble.
428, yeah.
428. Yeah, that's a pretty interesting game.
I love that game. That is
for a demo.
That is my favorite visual novel. And Frosted's being racist in chat. He says animal crackers are the best, and animals of other colors are just as valid as the crackers. Just to be clear.
Which is your favorite animal?
Mm-hmm. No. For Shibuya Scramble is a really, really good visual novel. Just sort of like trying to get everyone to the end without anyone dying is kind of cool. Though I did hate the final chapter where, like, normally when you make a mistake, it gives you some rough idea of what you need to change. In the final chapter, a bomb goes off and your hint is boom. Like, no matter which of the multiple mistakes you could have made to cause the bomb to explode, your hint is boom. He's like, thanks.
Nice.
It's finding the bad endings in that game is also a lot of fun. So you'll obviously get a lot of false endings and such along the way, but they're usually worth it.
You know, and I think the problem when you have games like that is like, oh, I'm gonna play normally. I'm just gonna play through the game, make the decisions I would make, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then you get the good ending, and then you're like, oh wait, there's more. And then the endings are like, well, that was a downer.
Good. You probably can't just go through making the choices you would make. I mean, you can, but you'll get a bad ending because there's typically a very specific configuration that you need to find to progress to the next section. So if you're like, yeah, I'd probably do this, and that happens to be the wrong choice, A single one will cause you to get a bad ending, and actually hunting down all the bad endings is more fun than trying to solve the puzzle most of the time. There's a one that I really thought was funny is you're running away from someone and you can make the decision of running around the corner or across the road, and you think, what the fuck difference does that make? But if you run across the road, the people driving have to slam on the brakes to not run you over, and it causes a massive car crash.
Yeah.
And so someone is in a taxi trying to get somewhere, and you just fuck them up because now they can't get there in time. And there's like things like that, like how the characters interact without actually ever meeting each other, is really funny.
Yeah. No, I do like the cause and effect thought.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yes.
that is interesting. And I think once I get done with Suikoden 2, I think I'm gonna jump to Doki Doki Literature Club,
Oh yeah.
and then just by the logo itself, it's all pastel and colory, and
Mm.
foo colors.
Mm. I don't think it's too spoilery to say that doesn't last long.
Well, I've heard a lot of stories about it, so it's I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Yeah. No, it's really really cool. It actually, like, you have to play it more than once. Like, you could just play it once, get to the ending, and think, well, that was shit, and you like understandable to do so. But no, play it again, and it'll be different the second time.
There was actually a game. There's been a time, I still do it occasionally, where I'm like, I'm gonna find a game on my mobile where it's just I can play a game. Like, I'll just find something random that isn't advertised end on end on end all the time. Like, if you've ever played anything on mobile, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But there's one that I found called Help Me.
Oh yeah.
And it was this, you play this tourist who is, driving through Tokyo, and Tokyo or Kyoto, one of the, a Japanese city. And there's an earthquake that hits, and like buildings have toppled, and it's just massive chaos. And you are trying to find help, and you stumble upon this girl who's trapped in this room, and she's like, "Oh, I got this. I got these people who they're at bay because they fell over in the earthquake. So you need to help and get me out of this thing in time, so that I can be rescued." And you are essentially helping this person escape from this room through this monitor. And so you are based on what you can see, only what you can see. You're helping this girl out of this room, and you get through the first part, and it's like essentially it's just like a tutorial. This is teaching you how to play the game.
Right.
So the first part of the story, the girl's like as you help her, she's looking more and more serious rather than scared, until like the end, where she starts to get this kind of like deranged look about her, and then as you rescue her, she comes out and she stabs you.
Oh, charming.
Yeah. And then it's like, okay, well that was fucked up. Like, what's going on? So you play it again, and instead of playing the same way, they give you a couple more extra pieces of the puzzle. And so when you can play it the same way, and you'll still get the same result, where she'll come out and she'll stab you.
Yeah.
Or you can find out, because she has someone, like if you have her do a certain thing, like a mirror will drop, and you'll see someone's legs who are bound together on that room, and then she kind of just is like, "Well, you've already found me. Yeah, hurry up and let me out so I can kill you." And then, like, as you go to like rescue the hostage, you let her out, but you have it set so where like the toilet clogs, and there's like a loose wire, electric wire, so she'll step in the water and then electrocute herself.
Right.
And then you save the girl, you save the lady. They arrest the gal. You find out she's running some human trafficking thing, and the end scene is like trying not to think too much about the horror of what you experienced with this chick, and then like there's a lightning storm and you see the girl's face flash in your window, and then it kind of just disappears.
No.
Yeah. And so I'm just like, well, and I'm bored. Like, I'm not gonna play this a third time.
Cute.
But actually, I went back to see if it was there again, to see if it would have changed even more of the game, or if that was that. And yeah, I can't find it. I think they removed it from the.
There's a game that I can't remember the name of, where the first time you play it, you will die. Like, the choices to not die are not available to you. But then after you die, your character goes, okay, I know what's going to happen if I do this. So then the other choice becomes available. You can do that and then die a different way. And like, as you go, you've got to remember which choices lead to death and not make them. And it's kind of novel, but it is also sort of, it would have been better if you could just get it right from the beginning, instead of just like, okay, I have to die, and then see what the cause of death is. Okay, now I can try and find the option that lets me not have that happen.
Yeah, I don't really know how that's fun, but it's like, no, I don't think so. I'm not going to play this one again.
Yeah, I mean, some games just are not fun. It's just don't have 100% accuracy success rate.
Yeah. But I am going to. We gotta call it.
Wrap it up.
Yeah, it's. I gotta run to the store before I go to bed. So.
All right.
You got anything going on?
The corner's on tomorrow, so if Assume Frosted can be bothered to host it, go check that out.
Coincidentally, I will be on that show.
If Frosted can be bothered to host it.
If he can be bothered to host it. Don't get COVID. Don't break a hip.
So we'll see all of you then, and if you're not there, we'll know, and we'll be very disappointed.
We'll sick Prospero on you.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye,
The
guys.
zoo is closed.